The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
It's Friday, and I want to let you guys know that we changed the name of the show. And so the new name is Next Level Convo with Brenda and Khadija. Yay. So I'm excited because we have some changes and things that are happening, new things, and I'm truly excited behind that. It's Morris Media Live, Friday. Welcome to Next Level Convo.
Hello.
Hey, Khadija, good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome.
How are you doing?
I just wonderful. You know, this week was really, really trying. It was one of those weeks where when they say push through, I really had to push. You know, but
that's life.
On a daily, right? But you know, sometimes it's a little bit more heavier than others. And this week was proved to be one of those weeks. But I'm just happy to say that it's Friday, and I want August, a new month, my birthday month. So I'm excited a little bit. Not as excited as I was last year. Last year, I think I celebrated my birthday for OMG, months and months. I learned the lesson, never do it. Just stick to a day, a weekend. But I wanted to say you can also call in at 323-293-3375. Good morning. Next Level Convo with Brenda and Khadija. And I want to start off with...
Your birthday is coming up, though.
Yes. But I decided that I'm going to just chill out. And this year I'll be working. If not on my birthday, the next day, okay?
You partied enough last year.
Yes, I did. That called me over for a couple years, okay? I can skip this year. I don't even have to get excited or anything and plan for next year. But I will be working. But I wanted to, you know, I have Nip's Corner. And so I want to say a quote from Nipsey that the marathon continues. But the quote is, the game will test you. Don't fall and stay 10 toes down.
Okay.
Nip. And I think that means that we will be tested in this life. You know, the game, people say, you know, slang and standard English, but that was the actual quote from him. Mm-hmm. And I believe that he was saying that life will test you. That means your surroundings, what you do, how you move, everything, relationships, everything. You will be tested, but don't fold. Don't give up.
I like that. I really do. And like you said, it all correlates with life. And I think when you just challenged with something, to be able to overcome it just shows how strong you are. And nothing truly could stop you when you could be able to control your own destiny and what you want. And I think that's kind of something that he was trying to say is like you say, you are going to be tested. It's life. You will be challenged.
Yes.
But it's how you overcome those challenges and keep moving forward.
Exactly. And
10 toes down.
And that means stand strong, stand tall, don't lean, don't fall. You keep your feet on the ground. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, that meant be focused.
Yeah.
And sometimes it seems so easy just to say focus, be focused. Yeah. But it takes a lot to be focused.
And it's a lot of distractions too. So be able to weave out those distractions and say, hey. And I think that's why it's important just with planning. Because when you have those goals and you're planning, you're like, nothing can stop you until you accomplish those things. So it's good to have those multiple things that you're working towards accomplishing, throughout your life, at each phase in your life. I think it's important because even if you accomplish one thing, we tend to, or I'll say for myself, you'll do something and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm good. And it's really like, no, life doesn't stop. It keeps going. You have to keep challenging yourself and pushing, to be better and do better. So like, and what I like also with Nipsey too is what he said, the only difference is I never quit.
Ooh,
I kept going.
I love that.
That's the only difference from him and other people was that he never stopped. And he believed in himself. And I think when you could believe in yourself, that's number one. And pushing the force of believing in yourself and staying focused, literally, it's like so many things that you can accomplish.
Okay, and let's break that down just a little bit with the believing in yourself. Because for me, when I see so many things happening, I've been trolling the internet this week. So many things are happening out there. But the awareness of self and being able to believe in yourself, where does it come from? I mean, who knows, how does that happen?
I think it's still from just the people around you, your environment, your parents, I believe. I believe mainly your parents, because if you have somebody around you every day telling you how great you are and tapping into the best qualities of yourself, you tend to grow up believing those things and manifesting them even deeper.
Okay, that sounds
so I really
good.
feel like it starts with your parents because those are your first teachers. And sometimes people don't have that, so it is kind of hard. But at some point, you have to tap into yourself and say, well, what do I like about myself? If you're not getting that within your parents or family or other people. Because I know there are some people that might not get that from, or have that support. So for me, it was my family, you, my dad, everybody that was around me that kind of built the confidence in me to tap into the qualities that, I had. And if you don't have that, you have to do it yourself. You have yourself. Nobody's going to support you and back you up like yourself.
I want to take that and use that and piggyback off of it and use as a reference, because I was trolling the internet and there was this young man. I mean, this young man was a beautiful specimen of an individual for a man. He was really beautiful. But as I listened to his conversation, he just wanted to get money. I don't even know how old he was, but he was like maybe late teens, early 20s. And his mindset was so startling to me because I couldn't believe that he sat there and said, yes, I wanted to get money. He went in and robbed these people right into a home. And the guy moved and he shot him. And he said once he pulled the trigger, that's the first time he had ever killed anybody. But he pulled the trigger, then he shot him again, and then turned around and shot the other person. I'm talking about...
Let's just turn to the left.
It went left real quick because of who... He didn't know who he was. He didn't understand himself as a young man. But I'm saying that for him to sit there and confess it, say it, and didn't have any remorse about it. Someone was interviewing him and asking him, how'd you feel about what you did? He was like, survival out here. I mean, just it is not funny because
it's really not. It's
not funny, and to the point where
it's just shocking funny. Like it's just so shocking that it's funny.
I know, but
it's not truly funny.
It's not truly funny. It's really sad.
It's not humorous at all, but just laughing at the shock.
And he did not have any remorse about it. He said he was trying to get money for his family. I said, well, he had a family, the people you killed. He said, I have a family. This is true. I'm serious.
Oh, my God.
And just so wayward and so unaware of life and the possibilities. He could have just been a straight out model. He was just that cute. Just really good looking, tall, nice looking brother. just could have did so many other things with his life is my point. But just not having the confidence and the belief in himself and understanding what he could do, the possibilities, he just went out to the white side of town. He said they specifically went to the white side that night. They had said they was tired of robbing black people. No, he did. And he went to the white side of town.
At least he has some sense. I'm just kidding.
It was no sense in that.
There's no sense at all in this, the fact that he went and killed somebody.
Yes,
so
and then he went in there.
Nobody deserves to die.
He didn't go in there planning to die. They said, well, if anything could do anything different from that night, would you take it back? He said, well, I wouldn't have had the pistol. So if I didn't have the gun, I wouldn't have shot him. But I still would have robbed him.
Well, at least he's honest.
Yeah, he was super honest. He was way too honest as far as I was concerned. I was like, does he have a lawyer? Can somebody tell him to stop talking?
Oh, let's not. We're going to tap into that too, because you just hit a good point. But I did want to backtrack with him. Yeah, let's stick to him first for a second.
He said, they could just execute me. Just put me in the execution chair. Just take me out right now. It's good. Because if you put me in the jail cell with anybody, I'm killing them. I promise.
How old was he?
He had to be, I told you, early
Well, maybe they could just say mental.
No, this brother said he put me in an electric chair. I want to die. I'm not doing life in prison. If you put me in there with somebody, I'm going to kill someone else just because. Seriously.
So he need solitary confinement.
Exactly. You're making it rough on yourself, but he put it out there. He'd rather do that than probably be raped because he's way too cute. And, he probably wouldn't last in there a long time. I'm not, I don't know exactly how that goes, but he sat there and literally said, put me in, I want to be electrocuted. Just kill me right now.
It's pretty sad. What do you think went wrong? Do you think, for me first, I would say this is all parenting. As a parent, your obligation to have a child is to provide information and knowledge so that they can make good choices when they become of age or just in their life.
And I understand that.
So with no guidance, no structure, and a poor environment, this is the type of mentality that you will get.
Don't even get started on the poor environment, because then that kicks off a whole nother thought for me, but I'm not going to feed into that at this moment. But the other thing he said was, if you want to say something to someone, what do you want? Mom, put his mom, I love you. To my brothers and sisters, take care of my nieces and nephews.
Well,
and he was out.
So he was doing it for his family.
He said they need to eat. And so she said, well, you killed 2 or 3 other people, and how do you feel about that? You had a family? He was like, I have a family. That's why I was out there. It's a loss. We all lose. He did, I promise you. It is not funny.
I mean, it's sad, though, because there's other ways you still could have went about it. And that's the sad part. They don't even realize how many other opportunities you could have to feed your family. It doesn't have to just be robbing, shooting, or killing someone.
But when you're raised in this particular environment, like you said, that's what happens. But the whole time that I was watching it, I wasn't laughing then. So I don't even know why it seems slightly funny now. Maybe because you're edging that on, peer pressure. I don't know. But
it's not humorous
at all.
Nothing's funny about this guy.
No, it was
killing
sad
these guys.
because the whole time I sat there and watched it, all I could think was, little guy, you have so many other options. I mean, he was a really good looking brother.
But again, just choice,
no information in his mind, in his brain, nothing processed properly. I just couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe the conversation he was having, speaking on what the events that took place.
Maybe he did it for his family. He was getting paid for the interview.
I don't know.
He said, I'm going down already. I might as well just get this check. Hopefully that was...
No, I don't know. It was someone interviewing him. I don't know if it was for a check or not, but I wasn't even concerned about the check for the interview. I was just concerned about his word selection. What you said. But at the end of the day, here we go back to environment. Here we go back to proper training, parenting, and believing in yourself, bringing that full circle. Yeah. Because if something inside of him told him he could have did something different, I believe he would have done something different. But that was just one incident of one person having that type of experience and the belief. That's why it is important for us as parents, grandparents, aunties, and uncles to make sure that we spread the love around with our children, with our nieces and nephews, and really be that united front. When I was growing up, we literally did spend quality time around aunties and uncles and picnics, and that has played out and died out, family structure. And I think until we can get back to that, this is the type of product that we're producing. Not all over it. This is not everyone, not in everyone's family, because they're just, when these incidents happen and they're being shared, it's just bringing awareness that we need to do a little bit more.
I agree. I just, and I think that's why parenting classes are so important. And, just.
Aren't you a psychology major?
I studied psychology. I did.
Okay, so what do you think was going on here?
Honestly, I just believe the environment played a really big part on his thought process. Like you said, if you're just, around violence, that at some point just traumatize you and impacts your decision making. And I think that's exactly what happened with him. And, maybe not having the true support from his family, or the option to think that he can do better or do other things. That's really. Or
where's the male figure? Because the whole time I didn't hear him. I never heard him mention his father.
That could be another part. So much anger and built up inside of him that his father might not have been there. I don't really know his circumstances, but just off the conversation and his actions shows. Because that would never be in my mind to go and rob somebody and then let alone kill them. Only way I would kill someone is if self-defense, if my life is on the line, and I would hope it would never come to that. But, again, I think it's really just environment. If you are surrounded by guns and this, at some point you're going to pick up a gun. Because like he said, if he didn't have a gun, he wished he would have never went with a gun.
Yeah, he
wanted to kill someone.
did say that.
So that means the guns were so accessible for him to get, he didn't think twice about it.
Exactly. So we have to do better. And the moral of the story is that we do have to make sure that we're spreading the love.
It is pretty sad, though.
And that we're letting
brother life, down the drain.
It was really sad when I watched it, and I watched him sit there and just speak without. I mean, he may break down and cry when he get in the cell, but he did not have an ounce of remorse. He was mad because his cousin turned him in. So he was upset about that.
Well, was his cousin involved, or his cousin?
No, he was honest. He said his cousin was accessory, but he pulled the trigger. I pulled the trigger, but his cousin was there with him, but he did not literally harm the people. And then, if you go into a home invasion or you do any type of burglary and you move an individual from one room to another, now you picked up a kidnapping charge because now you took them out the place that they were in and put them in another space. Kidnapping. So he said.
Home invasion, kidnapping, robbery, and murder.
All that. So he said he's done. He said, I know I'm done. So just kill me right now. Put me in an electric chair.
Why he just didn't kill himself then? That's the case.
He didn't get caught right there on the scene of the crime. God. So that's the whole thing. He did not get caught right there. Yeah. But I know. What'd you say? Why he just didn't kill himself? Oh my God.
Just if he,
he should have went and just.
But I think it's still,
other than kill himself, he
it's still some life to that.
And there might be some mental issues going on as well.
But I feel like even with him going to prison, he could still have a life. It might not be glorious in what he had at first as far as freedom, but maybe he could change, internally.
Yeah, but he had the mentality, kill me right now.
Yeah.
Lecture chair. So, I don't know, but that was just part of that segment of believing in yourself.
Yeah, and knowing now his cousin life is over because he's going to be charged with kidnapping, robbery, home invasion.
Absolutely. But there it is. It's good life choices.
Accessory.
Yes. Accessory. I mean, good life choices. Sad.
And I was watching too. I seen a young girl and a young boy. They're both 15, maybe 16. They went into. They did a home invasion. Yeah, they did a home invasion, and she got charged as a minor and only did a year, and he got charged as an adult and did 15 years. And it was a white girl and a black guy. and they didn't harm anybody, but just the home invasion. And he could have had priors as a minor.
Right, a minor.
Yeah, but he got charged with 15 years.
Don't let us seep into this justice system situation.
And she was pregnant and went to jail for a year. At 15 or 16. I think she was 15. And he was 15. And she went to a what was it? Not
some
a
type
juvenile,
of facility?
Kind of like a juvenile facility
Well,
where young girls go, get help, still in school type thing. But he went to prison for 15 years.
Oh,
and was charged.
Was she pregnant with his child?
Yeah.
Oh, but that's I don't want to sit here and act surprised because although I am surprised, I shouldn't be, because that will lead me over to the justice system. And as I was trolling the internet, people, we have to understand the laws. We literally really have to understand them. And I am going to ride the law situation out to the end, because that is a lack of knowledge and a lack of information. And I think that if our people were equipped with a little bit more information, if the parents, the adults, all of us, self-included, know more, we could share more with our children and our grandchildren so that they could be more aware of the moves that they make in this society that is not necessarily able to give justice to African American people. I just didn't know how to say that.
No, seriously, you seen how they see? Is it How They See Us from Netflix?
Oh,
did you watch it?
You know, that was very difficult for me to watch. I started watching it, and I watched it in intervals because I just could not believe it.
It is very hard, and I definitely cried probably through majority of the scenes, fight back tears. But that's a prime example. If you have proper education on how the justice system work, or even just the police system and the rules and regulations and laws, if you knew how they work, that's a prime example of innocent people, being sentenced or going to jail. And it could have been avoided, even just with one of the gentlemen, his own father, because he was so intimidated by the law enforcement. He was telling his son, just lie, just tell them what they want to hear. And his son's like, no, I didn't do it. Like, why would I say I did something I didn't do? Like, I didn't do it. And his dad literally coerced him with the police to say he did it, he was there, and he played a part in it. And literally that took years of him being in prison for something he really didn't do. And that was his father pushing.
That was a fear.
A fear of the police. And at some point, you can't be fearful anymore, because they're going to do whatever they're going to do regardless.
Right.
So at least you could stand for something than just fall for anything. And that's what a lot of majority of people are doing. Like that one guy, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot his name, but he was sentenced for something he didn't do. He was in jail for 3 years awaiting trial. He was getting beat, abused by the police.
Yeah, I think I remember that one.
I think his name starts with a K. And
Did he kill himself?
He ended up coming out of jail, and it was so much trauma and depression and things that he went through that he ended up committing suicide. And that's just another case of an innocent person. And I'm not saying everybody is innocent, but even if you're innocent or not innocent, you still have rights. And you have to know those rights to invoke those rights. You don't know if someone's trampling over your rights if you don't even know what your rights are. And majority of the time, the police are trampling over their rights. For a prime example, Miranda warnings or Miranda rights. That's something a lot of people hear on TV, you see in movies, you hear on Law and Order or different Medea. Yeah, the right to remain silent. But most people don't know it's really two parts to that law. And if the officers don't abide by that and state those two parts, that's one easy way to get your trial. It might not get dismissed, or it might not get a mistrial, but there are certain steps that you could take that could dismiss the case if they're not following a certain procedure. But if you're not holding the police to those procedures, how could...
If you don't know.
Yeah, if you don't know, how could you hold them to?
Yeah, so basically that's the whole thing about the information and informing yourself so that you can inform those loved ones around you is...
So if you come in contact with the police, you know how to handle them.
Exactly. It's the proper handling of the situation. I normally say the proper handling of people, but we have to understand how to properly handle situations. And I think if we do that, it'll make things a little bit better for us. And that's understanding the law. And I'm constantly pushing that because I feel that that's very vital to our survival.
It really is because, man, people are coming in encounter with the police every day.
Oh my God!
And some are not walking away with their lives from that situation.
Oh my God! Another incident I trolled on the internet.
You just been scrolling.
No, because what happens is that you'll fall into one, and then it'll be a series of other ones coming,
that's true.
and so you just
it's addicting.
It is, but it's overwhelming as well. I can only digest 5 incidents in
in a certain period of time.
I cannot just go on and on and on with that because it's overwhelming. It's so much information into your mind. It creates negative energy, negative thoughts, and brings on anger and stress.
No,
it was just
true.
way too much. But this one particular incident was these 3, I think it may have been 3 guys, pulled up to a ATM market to get, where you get gas, but you can go in and purchase some products. Mm-hmm. So one of the guys get out of the vehicle, he goes in and purchases a product. But while he's in there, a Caucasian man pulls up, his girlfriend gets out, goes into the convenience store. The white man is upset because the music that is being played in the young African American's car is loud. Mm-hmm. He's so irritated, he walks over there to the car, asks them to turn the music down. So, according to the story, one of the gentlemen in the front, one of the young youth, they all youth, turned it down. The gentleman in the back, youth, turned it back up. And the Caucasian man was livid. He pulled out a gun, shot 4 times in the back, killed him. The driver took off. The Caucasian man chased the car and shot 4 more times into the vehicle. Wait a minute. Then he went to his hotel, the Caucasian man, ordered pizza, chilled for the evening, and then reported the incident the next day. How arrogant is that? How privileged do you think you are that you could do something like that? That's my thoughts. Then went to trial, was not found guilty for the murder of the young boy in the back, but was found guilty for attempted murder for the other 3 because he shot as he drove away. He said that I left out a part. Let me make sure I give it clearly. He said that the young
guy in the back,
yes, had a shotgun. He saw the barrel of a shotgun, and that's what made him shoot. So in the deliberation, because they spoke with the jury after the fact, and in deliberating this case, they were saying that the young gentleman could have had a gun. So that could have been true. But there was no gun, no evidence of it.
If they're all dead when they arrived, where would the gun be?
No, he didn't kill everybody. He only killed one. Oh. He just killed the one in the back.
So he got off for killing the one in the back.
He got off for killing that, but he got 20 years for attempted murder for the other 3 because he shot 4 additional bullets into the car after it took off. But he didn't get convicted for the actual murder of the young gentleman in the back.
He had a good lawyer. And white privilege, possibly. But
no, it was white privilege. That's the injustice of the system. You cannot tell me that he killed this boy. If you can't
he probably knew his rights. That's
what
technically, it's not really white privilege if they know more information than we know. Whether they did the studying, it was passed down to them, whatever the case is.
I don't necessarily think it was the fact that he had more information. It was the fact that
he could afford a lawyer? Or
no, I don't think it was that. It was the fact that I can do this and get away with it. I'm in America, and this is the way it goes. Oh, you know what he used? The Zimmerman law, stand your ground.
What state was he in, do you know?
Oh, cheapers.
Because I think that's only in Florida.
Oh, then it was in Florida.
But he has a Second Amendment to bear arms, so he could have just used that.
I understand that, but it was a Zimmerman. It was a Zimmerman with Trayvon Martin. He used that defense in that particular situation to stand his ground. But you stood your ground. They didn't prove that the young guy in the back.
But they're black, so
that's
the jury already has a perception.
That's all. No, wait a minute, and let's talk about the jury on that. There was this one African American young lady that was on the jury, and when I heard her conversation, I wanted to matrix into the phone. I wanted to jump in there.
And what was her conversation?
It was horrible. She said that maybe the black guy in the back had a gun, And it could have been self-defense.
But the thing is, it's supposed to be reasonable doubt. You're supposed to be able to have no reasonable doubt. It's a doubt and a possibility
If
that
you
he
say
couldn't
maybe,
have had a
yes.
gun. So technically, he should have really been charged.
No, really. But it's privilege in America. And that's not saying that, and please, I have these stories because I am who I am, and I share these stories because it's important for the community. It's important for us to understand that this is constant going on over all the states in America. And to bring awareness to that, it's not that I hate this group or that group or I dislike this or that, but these are the things that are happening to the people of color. And if we can identify this from state to state, maybe we may be able to come up with a solution. All it takes is one person with a great idea and some backing, because I'm looking for a solution.
Do you feel like if the roles were reversed, the outcome?
Oh my jeepers! Did you ask me that? Did you really ask me that?
Do you think the black guy could have got off at any?
No, a police officer shot someone and said it was a self-defense, and he was black, they was white. He went to jail and did 40 years. But we're getting knocked down all the time. But I also want to say this too, because I had another experience with the police this week that I literally had an opportunity to visually see. And had I not seen it, I would have had a different perception of the situation. So I was at the hospital this week, and they brought in a African-American male handcuffed. So that means that something criminal had happened and he needed medical attention. So they brought him in.
Or they could have just possibly been violating his rights, but we'll go with your story.
Yeah, it's my story. Okay, now I'll just tease it. But possibly they could have been violated. But at this point, this is what was happening. So they brought him in and they uncuffed him. Now I witnessed this. So this is like for real. So they uncuffed him and the brother jetted for the door. Exit. So the officer ran after him and tackled him. And as he tackled him and he fell, he hit his head and he needed 20 stitches. The brother needed 20 stitches after the incident. So as the word was traveling through the hospital, it never came out. Not one time did I hear that he was uncuffed and he tried to run. The police are abusing him. He has to get 20 stitches. That was just going like wildfire. Wildfire.
Just how they think every black person is a criminal, we believe every police officer is a criminal. So they might not have believed that he possibly was, handcuffed or any of that, and it just looked as it appeared police just attacking another brother, because majority of the time that's usually what's happening. So we already are conditioned to believe that the police are a certain kind of way.
Right. But witnessing it, seeing the brother come in cuffed, seeing them uncuff him, and seeing the brother dash for the door.
Have you witnessed police doing anything criminal before?
Yes, I have. But on this instant, he was already handcuffed. You were getting medical treatment. I don't know what happened. I don't know how he got there. I don't know what the story was. But once he was uncuffed, which they normally don't even uncuff you in situations like that. They leave you cuffed to a bed. The brother ran for the door, got tackled. He had 20 additional stitches. Yeah. And what went through the hospital like wildfire was the fact of police brutality. Now, I'm just saying so that we can get both sides of the story, so that it's not always, the officers are not always not doing their job.
Do you feel like there's any other way they could have...
He was running.
Contained him again without physically... They couldn't got the little...
He had to drop on the cop.
What about the little stun gun they have? They couldn't just stun them Gave him a little zzz.
I think I don't know. And I did speak with one of the police there. I did have a conversation with one of the police officers there, and I asked him that. Like, he had these big giant guns, like pop guns, like, you know how you have the water fights with the water guns. He had some giant guns like that, and I was like, "What is that?" And so he told me what it was. That it shoots out darts and it shoots out this. So I said, "Well, why are police so quick to pull the trigger opposed to using this to stop them?"
Because they're not getting in trouble for killing people.
Right, and they're not trained correctly. They're not trained. They need to be retrained, I think. But I go with that. I'll go with that. But the police are nervous and scared because people will do anything. You are
pulling over random people every single day. What do you expect?
Right, you understand the job you signed up for. I get that part. But you
should be able to weed out good people from bad people.
They're just people too, and they're scared and nervous too.
Well, then you are in the wrong field. If you think that each person you're going to pull over, you should just be scared and terrified of.
Okay, I agree with that. But I think it's a couple elements to that. One of the elements I think that people become officers is to really do good, serve and protect the community.
How many % of officers do you think are signing up?
I don't know.
I just want to know. Out of 100.
I do believe.
Out of 100, just answer this before you move on. How many officers do you truly think are signing up to say, I want to be different. I want to be better in this neighborhood.
I want to make a difference in the neighborhood. Okay. Out of 100, what would be my percentile that I would think that's really out there, really trying to do their job and do what's right for the people? Mm-hmm. You can always call in at area code 323-293-3375 and join in on the conversation. Well, that's a tough one for me. I have to process that.
I'll say 1.5%.
Excuse me?
1%. Barely 1. Maybe not even 1.
You think 99% of the officers are out there being awful?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh. Well, I know it's difficult. We might have different views because we've had different encounters with the officers. My encounters with the officers have never been, except once. I can remember that I was in high school. I told you they pulled me over and asked me to get on the ground. I had a white jumpsuit on. I'm like, I'm not getting on the ground. I was so naive and so young, but I was so real and truthful. I could have lost my life that day because I was like, I'm not getting on the ground with a white jumpsuit on. There's no way. So that was defiance out of being...
It's not defiant. You shouldn't be on the ground anyway. You're a young lady. Why would they feel that threat when they have weapons to put you on the ground?
Exactly.
And again, I
didn't get on the ground. But that's the only time that I can think of that I had an encounter with the officers that was unpleasant. I was in high school. They pulled us over by a prank call. Some crazy lady went to a phone booth, called the police on us. They pulled us over and realized that it was a prank call, but they did say to the driver, which was an African-American male, to get out, get on the ground. And they told me to get out. I said, I'm not getting on the ground. Are you crazy? I'll get my jumpsuit dirty. And then the officer looked at me like, did she really just say that? I'm like, yes. I'm like, I can't. I just can't get on the ground. But anyway, that was my only encounter that was unpleasant. Now, every other encounter that I've had with officers, for my own personal, from you remember I was speeding with you when you were little, trying to get you to dance class. Pulled over. You was like, "Officer, don't get my mommy a ticket." I didn't get a ticket. He said, don't get a ticket. Just drive safely down Slauson.
That's probably a good encounter. I'm not saying all my encounters are bad, but multiple times they have trampled on my rights, and I don't like when people trample on my rights.
Okay, but I understand. That's why you understand.
They might have been nice, but you're still trampling on my rights. It's like slapping you. If I slap you nicely, is it okay?
Oh,
No.
Exactly. You will definitely get slapped back.
So just because you're pleasant about infringing on my rights doesn't mean it's okay.
And I understand that and I respect that thought pattern. But what I'm saying, my encounter has been different. I pulled over driving totally unclean, everyone. No driver's license, no registrations, no tags,
it's
anything.
Not against the law.
I know, but people that don't know that it's not against the law, that's something that we have to break down and go into so the listener audience can understand that you do have a right to drive on these highways and byways and do not have to have a license, really. If you did the research, you understood it, but most of us don't. We go along with the system and we partake in what they already put out there for us. But what I'm saying is that I have been pulled over multiple times and I have not gotten a ticket, didn't get my vehicle towed. I have no license, no registrations, no whatever they require according to what we understand that's necessary, not to the knowledge that you have and that we can share with people later. But I didn't get a ticket. I did not get my car towed. So my encounter with them has been different. So that does not mean that they are not out there harassing and doing all these awful things that I'm seeing on the internet and that we're witnessing and hearing about in 2019. It's been going on. It's been converted. Now it's being exposed. I understand. I'm just totally devastated by all the behavior and everything that like I told you, I can only watch 5 stories at a time trolling the internet with this crap. But it's real. It's happening. Our brothers are dying. They're getting shot, killed, and beat. I did see an officer in 1975. I'm older. Pull a young man into an alley, beat the crap out of him, and leave him there. But he was from a different neighborhood. So that's what make me think that a lot of the gang stuff is police interference. Mm-hmm. Because you beat him and left him in an area where you know that he's not welcome. So I think that they will do stuff. I'm not saying that they're innocent of some crooked cops out there. One of the other points I wanted to make that I think one of the reasons why they joined the force is to be a gang themselves.
Definitely.
For elimination, a systematic elimination of our people. So I do get it. I do get it. So I do get that part too. But I want to say that there are some good cops out there.
Well, they are. I've seen some of the 1%.
I didn't say 1%. I'm still processing my percentage of good cops, and it's definitely not 1%. But they are a lot.
I go in the courtroom and I sit there to observe sometimes when I have free time, and it's rare that I truly see a upstanding officer in the courtroom. So that's just even from experience, from just observing from the outside. I've never seen one. Maybe, and I don't even know if I could say he was upstanding. You know, I went to the courtroom Tuesday, I think, to go observe. I had some free time, and I was driving by a court building, and I like to go, observe here and there and kind of just see how these fellow citizens are being treated and how these judges are using their so-called power that they have. And I went, and it was one officer. He was like the last one to go in the courtroom, and he was there for a ticket that was like 10 years ago. And then it was a young lady, and basically the officer couldn't remember the ticket. He couldn't remember if this was her, if she was the one there, or he couldn't remember anything. So basically he was like, honestly, this ticket's so long, I don't know. I don't know if this is her. I don't remember anything. All I could do is go off the notes, which they usually do. And then the judge said, you can't identify if this was her there? And he said, no. He said, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll just dismiss count 1. She had about 4 or 5 counts. And then I was looking at the judge, and then the judge was like, okay, well, actually, you know what? I'll just dismiss them all because I guess I can't just dismiss one if he don't know who she is. So he was still, at some point, still trying to force her to pay the ticket. But she's like, he doesn't even remember, Right. So he ended up letting the ticket go. But that's literally rare. Out of all the times I've been in the courtroom, I've only seen one case get dismissed. And that was the one case because he couldn't remember.
Here we go again. I've been in the courtroom, and I don't know. The favor just is on me because...
Well, it comes with finesse. If you could finesse, and you know how to talk to the judge, you know how to play it, wordplay, then it does work out. But majority of the people going in a courtroom are always timid, don't know how fearful. The process goes.
I've sat in the courtroom with you and I've observed with you, so I understand your perspective and what you're saying. And it is true because people do not have the knowledge that's necessary to stand in front of the judge, and they will just go along with whatever is being said because although they give you a small introduction of what's going on, if your mind process is not as quick and snappy as it should be, then you don't even get what they're saying.
For a prime example, and that was my first time witnessing a case being dismissed, but I have been involved with getting a case dismissed. I've had maybe 3 or 4 tickets, and I've never paid for one, so I could say that. But I wasn't gonna say. I kind of lost my train of thought, but.
Well, of course, but
that was the first time me witnessing.
If you're an individual that's researching the law.
Yeah, I was just a witness the other day in the courtroom, and they actually dismissed the case.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you have the understanding, that's why it is so important to do what? Learn the law, understand it. And I always say on here, on the show, that you always tell me if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. That's extremely true.
Ignorance is not above the law.
Yeah, so you have to know your rights in order to be able to exercise them. And I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you for taking the time out to really understand the law, sharing it with your family. We have family discussions about situations and things, and I really appreciate it.
It's not easy, but it is important.
Not easy at all.
But
because there's
important.
that fine line between do you do what society has prepped us to do, or do you do what you can do? And but if we understand the Constitution, the amendments, the laws in statewide, citywide, we will have a better chance at fighting the situations once you get to court. And that was the other thing I want to say. We have to be able to take the situation to court.
A lot of people don't like going to court, which is...
It's scary. Because there's money, the fines is this or that. It's always something we've been taught to be afraid of the law, not to embrace it, not to understand it, not to transform it, not to utilize it for our best advantage. So of course there's fear.
Yeah, and not saying that I never get nervous. You get nervous before anything you do, whether it's a game or running a track meet or coming on the show. Those are natural. You're gonna naturally get feelings of feeling nervous, but it's just not allowing that to overtake the situation. And court is literally just a game. The judge is the referee, and whoever comes with better facts and a better story wins.
Maybe, because the law is crooked and it is deceitful.
But you have to know the law. Because if you apply it properly, it will work in your favor. But if you don't know it...
It should. But even though I saw a young lady go fight a case on her own, she had all the facts. She had everything that was proper. She did not lie, and everything she said was true. And the jury still said that she was guilty.
Because you have to know how to apply the law still.
Okay, I can feel that. I can understand
So even if you have some of the facts, it's all about how you're presenting those facts.
Okay.
The timing
of
everything.
Is that what law school does? Teach you how to present them?
I don't know. I believe law school could be cricket, so I don't know.
Okay.
But no, you learn, you do, because you do case studies, you do different things, but I don't think that's the only way you could learn law. It's really just time. It's like a class. You study and you read and you learn. So you don't have to go to law school for that, because you could just take the test straight from your own studying and doing. You don't have to go to law school to be a lawyer or any of that. You could take the test. It's just like real estate. It's a test. You take the test. If you pass, but it all depends on, you could go to school for real estate. You could do independent studies for real estate or a course for real estate. Same thing with being a lawyer.
Well, okay. So with the real estate, you do take the courses to pass a test to do that. Then once you do become the agent, then you have an opportunity to take the broker's test without actually
But you could also go to school for that too. You could go to community college or a university. But that's the same thing with law. You could go to a 4-year law institution, or you could just study, or you can go to a private institution that's a 2-year, or you could study and just take the test from jump. It's the knowledge, and a lot of people just don't probably know that, or they feel like you might get more from going to a 4-year institution. But, to me, that's just more money, more revenue.
Yeah, of course. Everything is always about the revenue.
It's America.
It's a game. And that's what
This is America.
No, the capitalistic society. But here's the thing, too. That's why I think it was so important for us to make sure that... Did we bring our law book today? Because I wanted to make sure that we put one law out there and work it with the public back and forth. But we could start it off next week, our law corner, okay? Our information corner about the law. Because it's important that we know it.
It's so important.
And that's
Imagine if we were teaching the youth this. So by the time they turn 10 and up and they come in, to any type of encounter with the police or anybody, they would know how to properly handle themselves and the protocol and procedure that they should take.
Exactly. And that's the whole purpose, because I think it's just so important that we stay focused and make sure that we each one teach one, and that we put something out there for our youth and people, our listeners, so that we will get better at understanding the law, and in doing so, making better decisions and having better outcomes, because that's what we want. I think we should take the system and everything that they put in place and use it against them.
That's the whole point.
And that's
what the law and the Constitution does.
But the whole thing about that, too, is that if we don't have the criminals, and it's important for everybody to be miseducated and be stuck in some type of ignorant state of mind, because then if the criminals' behavior lessens and there's not that many criminals, a lot of jobs will be out. People will be out of a lot of different jobs.
A lot of people are out of jobs anyway.
But I'm saying more. You wouldn't have a reason. Would you prefer
more criminals or more people having jobs? I would prefer more people not having jobs than more criminals.
Oh, absolutely. That's a no-brainer. But what I'm saying is that it's in place, this whole system is put in place so that they can feed their families, so that people can have a job. So that, what would we need a judge for? I believe, like, if you stole something, take a finger. People stop stealing.
I feel like if you steal something, like
Stop stealing.
Not the guy that killed somebody for his family. But if you at the store and you stole a pack of chicken, clearly you really needed that pack of chicken. So how about we say, okay, instead of charging you, let's, do some community service or something. Let's see how can we get you in a program so that you don't have to steal if you need food.
Oh, that's
or,
good. That's
something different instead of punishing you for doing something that anybody would do for their family if they was in that situation.
Okay, that's a good one.
To a certain extent. Now, certain criminals and certain people do deserve to be behind bars. I'm not saying that, but there are some people that don't truly deserve that and deserve second chances. Mm-hmm. And people do make mistakes.
Like the lady I trolled the internet again. I said, oh my God, this is the worst thing I could have ran into was doing all this trolling and looking up all these different stories on there. But this one lady, she used a different address for her daughter to go to school. And she was sentenced to like 20 years in jail. Mail fraud.
It's not funny. It's so sad. I also seen a judge. It was a black woman. She was a judge, and she ended up doing something to help her brother, and she got sentenced to 6 months because they was tampering she got charged with something else.
But I want to say, it's just so many things going on, and it's so much. Until my real big question to myself, and I pose it to anybody else, is what is a solution that we can stop all this injustice in our justice system? Because it has to stop. It's not the politicians. They're not going to make that happen. It's something that we as consumers have to understand that we have to put some form of play.
Politicians are in place to keep revenue.
Right.
Gone.
We already know that. I went over that 100 times.
Yeah.
They have not improved. A ghetto has been a ghetto forever. Nothing's changing. Just more taxes, a new chicken stand on the corner, maybe another liquor store. Just.
But truly, we can't look for them for the answers.
That's what
the answers come within ourselves.
We can't do that.
And I think, like you said, the solution, for me, the first solution is you have to learn it yourself. And it takes time. And, a lot of us are not accustomed to reading, and who wants to go read a law book? And, when there's so much other things that are
fun.
Why
would we have that type of mentality? Because
I know,
that's the mentality
but I'm
that
just
we
saying,
need to put into our children.
But that's why we do have to change. But I'm just saying it's hard because it's, even when me, sometimes when I'm reading some of the stuff, I have to double look up the word. I have to double check. I have to check other sources, so it's not easy learning all this, but it has.
If we instill that learning process in our children when they come out the womb and they're little, then it'll be fun to look.
It'll be a lot easier.
One of the things I tried to do with my children was have them read. You could do your homework, do whatever you want to do, but you need to read anything you want to read for additional 45 minutes and then write about it.
But I think that's something we all have to instill.
That's what I'm saying.
What I was saying was with
that's
that.
That's a program.
It's not easy, but I could see so much better results within my life moving forward with me knowing all this information. And less trials and tribulations or, discourse of things happening.
Right.
With me knowing this. And I said for a solution was what I started doing is with my niece and nephew, like say if something happened or somebody's in trouble, we hold court right then and there. And they have to defend themselves and the other person. So that's me teaching them so that if they ever come in contact with the officer or something's happening, they know what to do. And that's us, and there's 7 and 10?
9.
Not going to be 10. Teaching them that at this young age so that they can feel comfortable and not be afraid of the police or afraid, of the courtroom.
Okay, and that right there, I enjoy those sessions when they're happening. I really do.
You were there with one.
I know. Trust me, I'm either judge.
My little brother accused my nephew of lying and doing something, so we had to have a whole courtroom. And then my nephew was found not guilty.
So, we all participate in that with the children so that they can have, not to prepare them for court or prepare them to be arrested or anything like that, but just to let them know that this is the thing to have. Yes, these are proper things that you need to do. But one of the things I want to piggyback on with when we were discussing a few minutes ago, and I threw in there the 45 minutes of reading, I said that if we implement that in the children while they're young, and what I did was let you guys have enjoyable reading. Mm-hmm. You can read anything you want to read, and as long as you write about it, it was okay. Because now we're building up the skills to read, and we're building up the desire to read.
It makes it easier when you go in.
Exactly.
Each level, the education is supposed to be a little more challenging. So if you're starting from a young age, it won't be as challenging from just getting thrown into it.
Right, exactly.
You know,
and that
you've been practicing.
And that's what I'm talking about. Now, I'm an avid reader. I love to read. I can read. I can be in a room for 2 or 3 hours by myself and just simply read. I wish I had that kind of time to just read. But everyone's not like that. So we have to implement it in them while they're young and let them know that it's something that's important to start the reading, which can then turn over into the researching and being able to not have a problem with picking up a book because you said, oh, I don't really want to do this, you know.
I've learned later how to do that, how to make it enjoyable.
Exactly.
Like, not that I was always the one that I'm going to do my work, but I'm going to just do it. And then I was like, okay, well, how can I do it so I'm enjoying it? I'm more in tune and learning about it. So I had to find something to say, okay, how can I pertain this either to my life or how can I make it interesting? And then that made the reading process, homework, and everything a lot easier. So I agree. Starting from a younger age will make it a lot easier.
And that's what you have to
develop
do.
Into an adult.
Excuse me. You have to implement that. That's right. Well, I want to take our last 5 minutes and talk about. I am a real estate agent. Khadija,
Me too.
She's a real estate agent. And I wanted people to know that it is important to get information on the laws. It's important to get information on what's happening in your community. They have a planned community development center in each community. And you can go to that center to find out what the development is, the future development of that community and what's going to happen and what's happening. And we need to take advantage of that aspect or that opportunity that's available to us to receive the information about our community. We can talk about the community all day long, but until we can literally process it, until we can really get involved with it and understand what's available to us, we keep letting things happen in our community without knowledge. So through the real estate, I had an opportunity to go to a community development meeting, and it was really, really strange because I didn't see any African-American people there.
And it was an African-American community?
Absolutely. Did not see any there.
Well, how would they know about it? What's their marketing scheme? Are they promoting it? How would you find out about the information?
That's a good question. No, it is. It really is. I mean, I'm in the real estate field, so of course there's a lot of knowledge and information crossing my desk, coming to my phone. I get a lot of information, but the average, normal, everyday person that is not involved in it would not know. Yeah. But that's why it's up to me and you and everybody to bring awareness to that you can go to the development community meeting to make sure that you see what's happening in your community, to see how it's affecting you, what is the plan for this community for the next 5 to 10 years. It's all there. But because we're not there being aware, we don't know. And then things just happen. They just put gentrification. Just happens. It doesn't just happen. It's all planned. But because of our lack of knowledge and our lack of awareness, we just let it's planned around us. Because you can protest and fight whatever you want in your community, but if you don't know it's happening, then you can't do that. But I want to say it's important that we get that information as well as knowing that you can purchase a home. Units, mixed-use property, subdivisions,
investing.
There's just a lot of stuff that you can do.
So much information out there, guys. We have to grab it. We have to utilize it for ourselves, to better ourselves.
But I think it's letting people know. But the one thing that just really raises the eyebrow with me.
What raised the eyebrow for you?
Is that you can give this information out to people for free. And they still will reject it, won't
Jay-Z
respond
tried to give it for $9.99. I don't think nobody bought it.
444. No, I love that.
I'm just kidding. I really love that album.
I purchased that album.
I have Tidal. I always tell people, get Tidal, support.
I love that. He did say he was giving out the information for $9.99. I just said free.
For free.
FREE. And people will.
But it's hard to, like you said earlier, if somebody's been given sugar all their life and eventually you take the sugar away, it's like withdrawal. So if they've been given other type of information, nobody wants to hear what you're giving because they're not accustomed to that. And it doesn't matter if you keep preaching it. Out of 100 people, maybe at least 1 or 10 1 or 10 might get it. And if they do, at least 1 or 10 or anywhere between that, you have done it. Many are called on, few are chosen.
Absolutely.
Everybody's not going to catch it, and everybody's not going to retain it, but somebody will.
I know, and Repeat the last part. What you
I said I have. I've retained the information.
So you one of the chosen ones is what you're saying.
Hey.
Okay. No, I agree with that, and I understand that, and I really do. But it's just so amazing to me, and I know I should not be amazed.
But I mean, if you had all of everybody at the age of 5 and you're teaching them all these things, it'll be easier to retain. But if we've been fed and taught garbage, nobody wants to get the real, and because we're so stuck in a facade, nobody wants really what is reality, and that's the hard part. Even with the law, I'm telling people, hey, listen. And we will have a day where we could go in depth so I could break down some of these things. But I'll say, hey, listen, you don't need a license to drive. You don't need some of these things that the society have pushed on you. You think anybody want to hear that? They're like, we've been taught to have license for how many years? Nobody, everybody thinks what I'm saying is fake or it's not real or, So
no, I get it. Because
it's
it
like
took
a
me a
facade.
minute to
We
get
enjoy living in a facade. It's easier.
Yeah, that's
but when you touch in reality, of course it's gonna be hard. I gotta go read the law and learn. If I want to, no, I'm just gonna go sign up for this license and pay $30. So
well, because it's easier. Okay.
So facade versus reality. A lot of people prefer to live in facade.
Fake.
Yes.
Okay, so I get that part. Just cut it down. Fake. All right. Okay, I want to say, my God, the time has went by so fast, and I totally enjoyed myself today. I want everyone
to
have.
We didn't even get to our hot topics. I'm sure that's what everybody want to hear.
Oh, of course, definitely. No, what did Nikki do? No. But here's the thing. I want everyone to have an absolutely wonderful weekend.
Yes.
August is a new month. The year is coming to an end. And
just set some goals, accomplish them, push forward, believe in yourself, and challenge yourself. I told myself I was going to believe in myself and challenge myself.
And that's so important, so important. So we're going to close out with our quotes, which was...
Mine's just believe in yourself and challenge yourself. It's okay to challenge yourself.
Mine is the game will test you. Don't fold and stay 10 toes down. Nip. Marathon continues. Next convo, we're out.